Once again, I welcome you all to the Renewed Hope Global Virtual Town Hall Conference. Today's conference is another special edition, as we will be engaging with one of our leaders on matters bordering on the issues of the economy of the country. And as usual, my co-hosts for today are Honorable Jacob Ogushe, Hajia Rekia Bello Abubakar, Udeme Ukwe, Sheun Bayewu, and Tosin Olayinka, who will be assisting me as usual in moderating today's conference to ensure a smooth and uninterrupted deliberations. As usual, this conference is streaming live across the social media and especially on Ben TV, courtesy of the CEO of the first Nigerian African TV digital channel, Alistair Shoyode. Many thanks for your support always. And just taking a closer look through the room, the conference room, I can see, as usual, new faces. We keep having new faces joining us every week, and coupled with the old faces, not old as in old, but the usual faces. Thank you so very much for your support. Towards the end of the conference, I will be acknowledging the presence of our leaders and stakeholders in the house. In the meantime, on behalf of the team behind the Renewed Hope Global Virtual Town Hall Conference, I welcome you all to these sessions. Let me just quickly run through our updates. As usual, our website, we have our website address, which is www.renewedhopeglobalconference.com. That is www.renewedhopeglobalconference.com. Please visit for more updates on our activities and leave a comment on it if you wish. We also have an email for the website, which is also posted on in the chat room, and the email address is info@renewedhopeglobalconference.com. Info@renewedhopeglobalconference.com. Participants and viewers across the globe are encouraged to use this email address to forward their questions to us prior to each week's conference. Those questions will always be forwarded to our special guest of the week, and this will be the first set of questions to be dealt with by our VVIP before we open the floor for questions and answers. We have a YouTube channel, and the link for that is also posted in the chat room. Please take a look at it in case if you like to join. Same thing goes for our WhatsApp group as well. The link is on there in case you want to be part of us and to be part of the daily deliberation regarding our activities and programs. We also have a dedicated telephone number for the purpose of sending in your questions or suggestions on how to better serve you before each conference. And the telephone number is +44 758 695 1574. I repeat, +44 758 695 1574. And today, as usual, we have in our midst one of the top VVIPs from the administration of President Tinubu. The VVIP for today is no other person. I'm sure some of us who were here a couple of weeks ago will probably recognize him. He is Dr. Nuruddin Abubakar Zoro, PhD, FCCA, ACA. He is the technical advisor to President Tinubu on economic and financial inclusion. In the next 2 hours or thereabout, our distinguished special guest will be taking us through how to access financial grants and other funds being made available by this administration in its quest of rejigging Nigeria's economy and making it fit for purpose. Our topic for today, as you may have guessed, is renewing the hope of Nigerians through economic and financial inclusion, your complete guide to accessing financial grants and programs. So before I proceed, please let me run through our rules of engagement on this virtual conference. All participants will remain muted until they have the floor to join in the discussion of the day. And any participant who wishes to participate by fielding a question to our guest of honor should please raise their hand by using the hand icon at the bottom of the screen. When you're given the floor to contribute, one of my co-hosts will unmute you, and please do have your video on as we want to see who is speaking to us. And firstly, introduce yourself and where you are joining us from, followed by your question. In order to ensure every participant have equal opportunity to participate in our deliberation, every participant will have just 1 minute maximum to contribute to this conference. And please do go straight to the point so that we can save time and give others a chance to also participate. And please, be advised that the system is programmed to mute upon reaching the 1 minute maximum time allowed. So do not be offended if this happens while you're still speaking. It simply means the time allowed is up, and we will go to the next participant in the queue. And today, as usual, we will be giving a participant a golden ticket to participate and speak for double the time allotted to all participants. The winner of the golden ticket is chosen at random from amongst the participants that sent in their question prior to today and have requested for such privilege. You can also chat to the host in the chat room, and my co-host will respond to your inquiries. And during the question and answer, we will be taking 3 or 4 questions from participants, then yield the floor to our special guest of honor to respond to those questions. So once again, I welcome you all to this Renewed Hope Global Virtual Town Hall Conference. As you all know by now, this platform was set up as a veritable vehicle for interaction between Nigerians across the globe and our leaders in Nigeria. These are the people that hold the apron strings of our country and are steering the ship of our fatherland with a view to enlightening our people regarding the inner workings of the administration of the day. And today, as always, we will be exploring another segment of President Tinubu's vision and policies in an interactive interview with one of the big shots within the government who will be dissecting President Tinubu's administration, shedding light on its significant achievements and forward-looking plans as encapsulated in the Renewed Hope agenda upon which the president campaigned, and we all gave him the mandate, as well as the golden keys to Aso Villa on the 25th of February 2023. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I'm pleased to announce that our special guest of honor of today has joined the conference. Our special guest is, like I said earlier on, is no stranger to the house. He is Dr. Nuruddin Abubakar Zauro, PhD, FCCA, ACA, the technical advisor to President Tinubu on economic and financial inclusion. He is back today by popular demand from both our viewers on social media and from participants who were bowled over by, even though he was a de facto special guest on the day he spoke to us. He wasn't meant to be the special guest, but for circumstances beyond our control, he came to the rescue, and he gave a good account of himself. And it is on the backdrop of that our participants and our viewers across the globe requested that they want him back, and he graciously accepted to be back, and he's here in our midst today. So for that reason, I purposely chose not to, because he's an expert in economics and everything that has to do with the economy of the country. I purposely chose not to dabble into economic policies of this administration, as I often do at this juncture. I will leave that to our special guest, who is an expert in that area, to do it justice, as he always does. So to start the conference, I wish to read out his profile. Dr. Nuruddin Abubakar Zauro, a distinguished economist and strategist, serves as Mr. President's technical advisor on economic and financial inclusion. With nearly 2 decades of experience in banking, finance, and academia, he is renowned for his innovative approach to policy and strategic development, inspiring his audience with his forward-thinking methods. His expertise spans digital financial services, inclusive growth, and sustainable economic development. As a seasoned professional accountant, Dr. Zauro plays a pivotal role in spearheading the presidency's economic and financial inclusion initiatives under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's Renewed Hope agenda. His leadership is instrumental in encouraging public-private partnerships with the ambitious goal of transforming Nigeria into a $1 billion trillion economy through inclusive growth and financial empowerment. Before his current role, Dr. Zauro was a key figure at the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, serving as technical advisor on digital financial inclusion from 2017 to 2021. He spearheaded the design and implementation of critical development finance initiatives and provided expert input into monetary policy. As part of the CBN's high-impact team, he played a crucial role in the successful execution of the African Continental Free Trade Agreement and other landmark government policies. Beyond his advisory roles, Dr. Zauro demonstrated exceptional leadership as Director of Finance to Treasurer of the CBN Staff Multipurpose Cooperative Society. His ability to mentor and inspire aspiring financial leaders and his strong communication, monitoring, and evaluation skills solidify his reputation as a thought leader in economic inclusion and development. Dr. Zauro, a devoted family man, is not only happily married with children, but also deeply committed to shaping Nigeria's financial future for generations to come. His dedication and vision provide a reassuring outlook for the country's economic prospects, instilling a sense of confidence in his audience. You are highly welcome, Your Excellency, to the Renewed Hope Global Town Hall virtual conference. Once again, our main topic for today is renewing the hope of Nigerians through economic and financial inclusion, your complete guide to accessing financial grants and programs. So you'll understand why I decided not to dabble into economics today, because he was gonna make me to look like a novice. So I like to leave that to the professionals, because he is one of the experts in that field. So that's why he was chosen by the president. So, Your Excellency, sir, in the meantime, I would like my co-host to please unmute him, because I can see he's still muted. So please unmute him. My first question is centered around the theme of today, which has to do with economic and financial inclusion. We all know and agree that the challenges facing Nigeria today are multifaceted and cut across every sector of society. These challenges require not just innovative solutions, but principled and adaptive leadership. Since assumption of office, the president has left no one in doubt of the direction of his administration's economic policy, which revolves on lifting impediments to a friendly business climate, revenue generation, elimination of multiple taxation, monetary policy reforms, ease of doing business, growth of the economy that would engender shared prosperity amongst the populace, etc. I can go on and on and on, which is what I assume, in my own little mind, brought about the economic and financial inclusion policy of this administration. So one of such is the consumer credit scheme and the ease of doing business, etc., etc. My question, therefore, is, given the state of the economy, when this administration came in, to what extent can we say that the policy on economic and financial inclusion has achieved the aim of this administration in growing the economy and engender shared prosperity among Nigerians? So I'll yield the floor to our special guest of honor on that, sir.
All right. So good afternoon, good morning, good evening, everybody, depending on where you are joining us from. Thank you so much, Mr. Adebola and the other hosts. Hello.
Yes, we can hear you, sir.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, gentlemen. I really appreciate you. And of course, I thank the organizers of this program, of course, especially for your passion, to support the administration of our dear President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. You all know that Nigeria is such a country that is of interest to the global community. Anybody across the world that is interested in doing anything in Africa is indeed interested in Nigeria, because of course our role, here, and the fact that we lead the continent, in a lot of initiatives and all of that. So with the coming of this administration, a lot of issues are already on ground, as you all know. So, but then again, this is the time that we have a president that understands, the economy and financial system, of course, of the country. So therefore, he is determined to be able to deliver goods, public goods precisely to the Nigerians. So today's discussion, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, is going to be majorly on the current ongoing initiatives under this administration in economic and financial inclusion. Basically, but I'm trying to focus primarily on the economic and financial inclusion aspect of those things, because the current initiative, they are quite multifaceted, they are quite diverse. So we're doing everything possible to see that Nigeria is back on its post, as the leader of this African continent, and of course, very big player in the global economy. Once again, the organizers, participants, everybody watching me from wherever you're watching me from, I sincerely appreciate you for this honor to participate in this program. So I hope you can see my screen that I've shared.
Yes. Yes, we can.
Okay, great. Thank you so much once again. So I'm going to go through these slides. Then we would now follow it up with some question and answers, and of course, clarity if there's anything that we're going to do. But today's discussion, I am actually going to focus primarily on the key policy reforms that are actually going on, in the economic and financial inclusion. The main essence actually is to ensure that the country is actually well reformed. We know that we came in at a time when, there are a lot of challenges, of course, not only in Nigeria, but of course in the global economy. So, but no matter what, we're doing everything possible to see how we can surmount some of those challenges, and exactly by the grace of God, we will certainly get there. So as you can see, renewing the hope of Nigerians through economic and financial inclusion. So when this administration came on board, I'm sure you saw the majority component of the renewed hope agenda, which is of course the priority, the agenda of this administration, is actually a lot of components of it that touch on economic and financial inclusion. Economic and financial inclusion here, we're talking about economic opportunities and then financial inclusion. Financial inclusion, of course, we are referring to access to formal financial services, of course, by poor and vulnerable people, of course, to ensure that all Nigerians or economically active Nigerians have access to financial services so that they can move on with their lives, as the case may be. So as you all know, like I rightly said, now back to my screen, economic and financial inclusion, of course, they are key components of this administration, which is the renewed hope agenda. So for that reason, Nigeria has made significant progress, of course, in financial inclusion journey. Way back in 2012, the Nigeria issued the first national financial inclusion strategy in 2012. The National Financial Inclusion Strategy basically primarily seek to achieve 80% financial inclusion target by the year 2020. By 80% financial inclusion, it means that on the flip side, we have 20% financial exclusion. What is the meaning of financial inclusion? Financial inclusion means that access to formal financial services, at affordable and of course reasonable rate, by all Nigerians, including the poor and vulnerable Nigerians. So meaning that if you want to start your business, you need money to start something, you can be able to easily have access to it, and you can be able to save money wherever you should, basically within the regulated space by opening an account, savings, current, or whatever kind of account you have. And then again, also access to other components of financial services, including pensions, insurance, savings, and other components as the case may be. So this basically was set since 2012, and a lot of effort has been going on all this while. The central bank, of course, is the mandate holder of this initiative right from then till then. Till this administration assumes office. So what happened here is that as at last year, as at when the journey, as way back and as 2008, 2008, I think the financial exclusion rate as at then was somewhere around 53%. What does that mean? It means that adult Nigerians that are 18 years above, 53% of the adult Nigerians does not have access to financial services. If you flip it, when you deduct 53%, you have a 47% that have access. In this 47%, some of them are having access to formal services while others are having through informal services. We'll dig into that conversation when we go into this presentation. But as of today, due to a lot of policy reforms going on, of course, within central bank and other related agencies, regulators and all that, and market players, A lot of effort has been invested, and that among the effort is why you are in your comfort zone. In your room, you can be able to transact and withdraw money, transfer money from your phone and all that at your cost. So those are some of the efforts actually achieved through this financial inclusion journey. So when this administration came on board, as part of the Renewed Hope journey, the Office of the Technical Advisor on Economic and Financial Inclusion was created. Of course, it is situated in the Office of the Vice President in the State House right there, which by his grace, I'm playing that role as of today. So distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is indeed a deliberate effort just to see that how can we engage all economically active Nigerians to have access to financial services. So basically, that is it. So now we also need to coordinate the policy alignment in terms of initiatives and efforts that are going on within different entities and ministries, departments, and agencies, to ensure that they are in alignment with the Renewed Hope agenda of Mr. President. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, so now with that in place, under the current administration. Now, still, I was given some sort of background. So this slide also speaks to the current Nigerian status, in terms of the, the numbers. You can see population of over 200 million, then you're talking about the GDP status, and then as well as the population, financial literacy, the number of people who are poor and all that, those who have access to different components, insurance service, you can see only 1% or thereabout, those with access to car insurance, and then all sorts. So I can see this one, the slides actually speaks to a step. So the next one, we are now talking about the, what does this, economic and financial inclusion achieve when financial services, and economic policies are inclusive, by meeting these 6 objectives. Of course, the objectives are clear on your screen, respectively. We have easy access, that is proximity to access point where you can easily go and withdraw money or deposit money as the case may be. Then having access to broad range of financial services, be it credit, insurance, pensions, payments, savings, and whatever. So there are different services so that Nigerians can make a choice of what kind of services do they also want to access. Then also these services, are they meeting the needs of Nigerian people? Are they getting the right product they are interested in? So there shouldn't be a kind of one size fits all in the access to financial service. I can give you examples. Some people would want interest-based transactions or financial products, while other people, due to whatever reason, it could be religious reason or other issues, they also need non-interest financial access and all that. So it is the duty of government to ensure that those kind of services becomes available, for Nigerians to make a choice. And then again, these kind of services, are they affordable? For example, some people could complain, just like our discussions in the other day when I featured into your presentations. Some people talked about having high cost of financial services in terms of charges and all that. So a lot of efforts are going on to ensure that Nigerians have access at an affordable rate, within that financial space of the country. Then also it provides an opportunity, by way of having access to whatever you would want to do. If you want to do business, you also have access. That in itself becomes very important for you, to go into, that stimulate growth and of course provide an inclusive ecosystem for the country. And then again, putting those financial services to be sustainable. How will it be sustainable? It is when it is creating jobs, for Nigerians, and a lot of people are doing their businesses here and there, and they are they will now be the ones to support all this. So now, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, once again, as we continue this conversation, we know that economic and financial inclusion, to also facilitate inclusive economic development. You can see these different parameters on this in terms of this journey. The journey under this administration for our journey, particularly the $1 trillion economy journey to, targeting 2030. We're talking about doing things like bringing policies and programs in order to stimulate growth, economic potential, $1 trillion, dollar economy journey, then socioeconomic resilience, support reforms, and then inclusive growth. So what we are trying to say in essence here is that these are different parameters that are put in place into consideration in order to ensure that different policies and reforms are put in place to support the Renewed Hope agenda, and the downside of it to ensure that it gets to the last mile, it gets to the poor and vulnerable Nigerians for them to have adequate access to different economic opportunities, and then be gainfully employed, and of course have access to formal, different plethora of formal financial services in the country. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, having narrated initially when we started, in the financial inclusion journey, which I said leading to issuance of a national financial inclusion strategy in 2012, you could remember that Nigeria joined this financial inclusion journey by signing what we call Maya Declaration. Maya Declaration was actually a global accord that different countries all over the world converged in Mexico at that time, under Queen Maxima leadership as the UN envoy on financial inclusion. So different countries went and led envoy, of course, led by the then central bank governor. At that time, it was Governor Sanusi Lamido Sanusi. So they went, they signed a Maya Declaration that clicks to Nigerian journey to the financial inclusion. So coming back to Nigeria, Nigeria now issued the first national financial inclusion strategy, which I told you that had a target of 80% by the year 2020. In 2018, 2017 precisely, there was a kind of review to that is midterm review to see what we are doing. Are we really doing well, or do we need to do something better so that we can make it better and more inclusive and accessible for all Nigerians? So at that time in 2018, another revised strategy was issued. When the revised strategy was issued, the target still then remained 80% inclusion, 20% exclusion by the year 2020 at that time. So what happened was that a lot of reviews were conducted to ensure that what we were focusing on initially, like I said, is basically on channels of delivering financial services, as well as the different products that we also have. But then when the strategy of 2018 was issued, which was an NFIS 02, that is the second version of the strategy. So basically, it was discovered that there were 5 key gaps that were that were impediment, to achieving the target of 80% inclusion by the year 2020. These 5 key gaps include gender, whereby we had imbalance between women and men in terms of access to financial services. We also have more rural people the rural dwellers have lower access compared to the urban dwellers. Then at the same time, also we had regional issues whereby Northeast and Northwest, accounted for the majority of the exclusion segment. I think up to today, the situation still virtually remain the same. So, and at the same time, also MSMEs also had issues in terms of access to financial services. We all know that globally, especially the Asian giants that we're talking about, MSMEs actually played a very important role in supporting the GDP as well as the economic growth of those countries. So Nigeria is indeed not an exception. I could remember one of the World Bank reports that shows what do you call it, somewhere more than, I think, a majority portion of the MSMEs that runs in the African countries are actually from Nigeria. So what does that mean? So with that revised national financial inclusion strategy, a lot of efforts were put in place in order to make access to financial services easy for poor and vulnerable Nigerians, so that every economically active Nigerian have access to financial services. So now, after that again, also journey towards the 2020, somewhere around 2020, then also another target was reissued in order to support or to enhance the target. The new target that was issued, which we call NFIS 03, became more aggressive in the sense that the bar of achieving 20% by the year 2020 was raised to 95% inclusion, to whereby 5% exclusion was also targeted. I think that's the current target we have at the moment. So by the year 2024, we're targeting to achieve 95% financial inclusion as against 5% financial exclusion by the end of this year, 2024. Already we know that there is an agency called EFINA, is a non-governmental agency. They are the ones that conduct, survey virtually every two years to know what is the status of, is an independent body. So what is the status of financial inclusion? So as at last year, December precisely, you can see on my screen, as at last year, when they conducted their survey, it was realized that 74% of Nigerians are financially included, with 26% excluded. So what does that mean? It means that there's still a little bit more work to do, in order to ensure that this administration come up with some programs to support financial inclusion. I took my time to be able to go back, to the memory lane in order to bring you to perspective of why we are going into some of the policy reforms we are doing under this administration to ensure that we do better than what we have been doing, in support of the economic and financial, in support of financial inclusion journey. So when this administration, after setting up the office, so the first thing we did was, first of all, looking at a lot of Nigerians will now say, come, when I open an account, well, I am deemed to be financially included, right? I have access to financial services, or either I have insurance or pensions, or among those, or savings or credits, as the case may be. I am deemed to be financially included. But then the question is, what about the usage? Because if I open an account and I'm not using the account, then the economic activities that are intended to be achievable, it becomes shaky, right? So now let me go to the next slide. Okay, this slide speaks to, the imbalance that we had in the access to financial services. You can see way up, this is the 2020 compared with 2023 report, that we have on the financial inclusion status of the country, Nigeria. So way up north, you can see northeast, northwest, we have high number of red lines where we have high level of exclusion. For example, you can see on the extreme side, we have Borno having about 75% exclusion, where we also have somewhere around, you can see Sokoto, you can see Zamfara right there, having 68% and 63% as the case may be. So a couple of places, in the country, even down south, you can see other states such as Ebonyi State having about 56% exclusion. So these things are really of concern. The question is, this administration, of course, have to stand up and do a lot so as to ensure, first of all, making these things affordable, making these things accessible. We know that central bank has done a lot, has done a very fantastic job so far. You understand? Because because of this financial inclusion initiatives that led to all this agency banking, where today you don't need to queue up in the bank. You can easily, at your neighborhood, you can easily withdraw money, or you can do what we call cash in, cash out, right? And other initiatives also came up. We have fintech playing a very important role in the delivery of financial services. So also, in order to balance the equation, non-interest window was also introduced at some point in central bank and not only non-interest in finance in the banking sector, we have non-interest insurance, non-interest, and all sorts, different initiatives, different agencies are coming up with good initiatives in order to support this financial inclusion journey. At the same time, as at last year, we still have, out of the 111 adult Nigerians who are economically, supposed to mean economically active Nigerians, still lack access to financial services. That is why we have about 26% exclusion rate. So it is in the light of that this whole reforms are actually going on in order to. So that's why we realize that there's a need to combine the economic opportunity as well as the financial inclusion. The question is why? When you open an account, you have access to financial service, no doubt about that, but we also need you to use it. Usage of that account is also very important. It's as important as opening an account, right? So when you use it, that is what means that you are doing transaction, you are doing purchase, you are buying, you are selling, and all that. But that went a long way, in reducing the informal sector of the Nigerian economy. So we're coming into the formal financial sector makes it very important, for policy planning and all those decision making for the government, so that Nigeria can, the administration can be able to be on top of the issue, have all the information needed, to be able to deliver on its mandate, especially as it affects the renewed hope agenda of the current administration. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, these are some of the sections. I hope you can see my screen. So these are some of the sections that the reforms actually, particularly what we call ASO Accord, on economic and financial inclusion. I'm going to go into it just shortly. So these are the sections that policy actually affect directly on the financial inclusion. Top on the list, of course, we're talking about food security, eradicating poverty, economic expansion, and employment opportunities, of course, for all Nigerians. Security measures to ensure we enhance security across the entire country where we had littered issues, across the country. Then access to capital and, of course, financial inclusion, as the case may be. Access to capital, that one of the top priority of this administration, Mr. President has mentioned it multiple times, whereby we need to have like that credit economy where if you are, economically active, there should be low impediment, for you to be able to access funding. And that multiple researches have shown the nexus, the area of connection between, the financial inclusion and poverty, eradication for the country. So when you have access to financial service, every tendency that you'll be economically active and doing your things so that you can now become more independent and may become economically stable. Inclusivity, of course, now we know in terms of youth and women, people with disability and other parameters are also very top priorities under this administration. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, so when the journey went on, so this is the ASO Accord that was actually signed by this administration. What does that mean? When this office came up, precisely in April, 25th of April this year, a workshop was conducted, in the villa there. What we did there was to bring we carefully selected participants, those people with who are deemed to be knowledgeable and active, expert in this aspect of economic and financial inclusion. They all converged. We have governors, ministers, and heads of agencies, ministries, departments, and agencies. They converged in the banquet hall there. We brainstormed in order to see what went wrong, what are the issues, how can we make it better, what are the things that this administration needs to do better so that we can get this administration out of the challenges, of course, a lot of Nigerians are facing. So that is when we did workshops. So in that workshop, the symbolic aspect of that workshop were majorly two things. Number one is the signing of the ASO Accord on economic and financial inclusion. And that ASO Accord was signed symbolically. It was all over the world. Everybody have seen it, whereby, we had over 500 participants, and then about more than 20 countries participated across different parts of the world. What does that mean here is that we had a vice president under the presidency. We had Minister of Finance, Central Bank Governor, the chairman of Nigerian Governors Forum, representing 36 states of the country, National Security Advisor, the security component of the country also was represented, and then the private sector were also there. What it means here is that we put all the key players, the major representatives of various segments of the Nigerian economy. They came together, they signed a symbolic commitment. ASO means, ASO, that is ASO Rock, that is a symbol of power for Nigeria. Then Accord means commitment, right? So ASO Accord on economic and financial inclusion. This is to tell you that the administration of Mr. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu GCFR is actually determined and is committed to support of economic and financial inclusion. I told you why economic opportunities, combining it with financial inclusion. When you open an account, use the account. And it is when we, for those people who are economically down, we now see, okay, what are those initiatives that we can bring together, which today there are quite a number of them, right? How can we now support those poor and vulnerable Nigerians so that they can be economically active, for them to do one or two things, small businesses, akara seller, push ball, all those petty kind of businesses, so that they can use that money, the proceeds they are using, to use the account into the transactions or something, so that with that, at least they can be able to take their children to schools and then take their children to hospital where they are. And then when woman is pregnant, she can also attend hospital, and doing many other things, Nigeria can actually reduce security, which we call economic solution to the insecurity of the country. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, with the signing of the ASO Accord, I think that's one of the key aspects, key achievement done in that workshop. Then the second one was the announcement of the approval of elevating economic and financial inclusion from the way it used to be as an institutional arrangement led by the central bank to the level of National Economic Council. What does that mean? At the National Economic Council is the constitutionally provided council. After FEC, then we have NEC, whereby the entire subnationals, that is state governments, They are all members of that council, which normally holds its meeting every month, as you know. So what it means here is that the entire economic segment of the Nigerian economy came together and said we are committed. And we all know that the implementation of the financial inclusion strategies need to touch not only in Abuja or Lagos, it needs to touch somebody that is way in there in Otoke, in Bayelsa, or way back in Gambarungala, in Borno State, Talata Mafara, Zamfara, and all that villages across the country. So what we are trying to, that's one of the aspects of inclusivity. Everybody should have the right, to be able to have access to financial services so that you can be doing one or two things good for the country. So with the signing and the elevation of the conversation around economic and financial inclusion to the National Economic Council, a lot of initiatives were actually rolled out in order to support the implementation of economic and financial inclusion journey for Nigeria. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, in this ASO Accord, we have different perspectives. We have the consumers, which is the demand side of the coin, as well as the supply side, and we also have regulators. What exactly are we talking about here? Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, excuse me, I hope I'm not too fast. Sometimes I think a bit.
No, sir.
Okay. Are we together, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. I just want to get to somewhere, then we can make it more interactive. I just need to give you a background so that you have a clear-cut understanding so that you can direct your questions, so that you would want to ask, all right? Okay, the supply side, of course, has to do with people. What exactly does the people want? The questions should emanate from there, right? Then the supply side, what kind of products do they want to produce in order to meet the demand of the people? Then the regulators, of course, as you know, they are intermediaries, between the suppliers and the demand side. I'm sure you can remember Economics 101, back to your school, secondary school or university, where we have, the household, and then we have the other side, where the concept of land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship will now come up. So we have those with excess, excess funds that they want to reserve, then they can take them into the financial services. I mean, the banks and other something to have. Then those with the deficit side will now come in and borrow the money. So that cycle, then where there come in regulators to regulate the relationship between those with excess and those with the deficit, those financial services providers that are navigating in between. There has to be somebody to regulate to ensure that the consumers consumers' interest is protected. That's why we have consumer protections. Nigeria, we have very active agencies that are doing very fantastic jobs. We can always do better anyway. So we have FCCPC, that is Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Council. We have Consumer Protection Department in Central Bank regulating the financial sector. We have different agencies that are doing very fantastic job, in that to ensure that, the right of poor and vulnerable Nigerians are protected. And if you have any issue, where you can report your issue so that your right can actually be restored. So on that, so this ASO Accord now also, you can see some components of it, which we are talking about, emanating from the demand side, the supply side, and then the regulator. But the main essence here is that how can we unbundle the barriers in between to ensure we have a seamless access to economic opportunities and financial inclusion for the entire country? For example, if government rolled out an initiative, for example, we have sort of like a G2P payment. If government want to do G2P, government to people payment, how can we now inject and disburse such interventions to people like conditional cash transfer and many other issues? And it should be traceable. There should be some sort of technology that we'll have to leverage on technology to ensure that these things are traceable to be able to ensure that it actually gets to the people that initiative is actually intended for. So it's also one of the issue aspect that ASO Accord actually seeks to bring the imbalance in between. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, as we have moved forward, we are talking about the ASO Accord, which of course I am trying to limit my conversation, because in terms of policy reforms, I told you we have quite a number, but in this conversation, the fact that we're talking about economic and financial inclusion, I think that's why I'm just focusing majorly on this. But if other issues come up, if it is something within my purview, then I can respond accordingly. Okay, so now where the of course aim is to be to deliver an outcome of the ASO Accord. Of course, through ASO Accord on economic and financial inclusion, it is now at the next level economics where any policy that is done at that level, it is deemed to have trickled down up to the local government, because we have all the governors level in that, which they will go back to their state and then ensure the implementation of such journeys, right? Nigeria has also made significant progress in the financial inclusion, of course, largely at the sectoral level, which I told you the central bank is actually driving this very fantastic engagement. We also have the current administration believe in elevating this financial inclusion with a clear responsibility and key implementation agencies and the subnationals. And that is why it was now elevated to the National Economic Council, so that there will be more balance. And then that conversation, even though the central bank is still doing a very fantastic job at the financial sector level. So, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the accord, you can see different components that seek to achieve, stimulate growth, structural reforms, inclusive growth, economic safety, and then socio-economic resilience. Basically, what we're trying to say here is that these different components now speaks largely to supporting the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's renewed hope agenda. All this renewed hope we are talking about is actually targeting as primarily to the poor and vulnerable Nigerians, to ensure inclusivity and to ensure equal opportunity for all Nigerians, to do their things, to be economically engaged in the country. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, so with this, okay, so now I will try to bring the alignment, of the Renewed Hope Agenda with the ASO Accord. These are the major components of Renewed Hope Agenda, which, 8-point agenda: anti-corruption initiative, upholding the rule of law, food security, eradicating poverty, economic expansion and employment, security measures, access to capital, and inclusivity. So if you now trickle down, you can see the sections of ASO Accord where it talks about, align, sectoral efforts to the national agenda, meaning lifting it from institutional perspective to the national perspective, deepening reach to subnationals, whereby all the state governors are now, on top of the issue. At least they're involved in making some policy decisions, and of course, with the Supreme Court pronouncement, that the subnational has now expanded to also local governments, which they also play a very important role now that they have their financial autonomy. So a lot of policy reforms can also be taken down to do all these aimed at achievement, by the ASO Accord we've talked about. Providing the public good platform whereby people can transact and do their seamless transaction, pursue high priority initiatives, which I just spoke to some of them, and I'm sure we're going to have quite a number of questions from that. Let's address the ones we can again. So in terms of the approach to ASO Accord that we brought, I think it is about collaboration for impact, outcome-based, and innovation-driven. Innovation-driven meaning that we are trying to leverage on technology to be able to deliver. And I'm sure you know the role that fintech players have been doing very fantastic job in ensure that people in the village have access, because everybody know what is agent banking at the moment and many other initiatives. In fact, not only agent banking, like healthcare, for example, there are so many initiatives going on that you can, on a click of a button, you can be able to have access to doctor, see doctor, talk to him, and then again, he will give you advice on what we can do to be able to achieve that. So as a government now, we're trying to enhance and support those kind of initiatives to ensure that people, the last mile, have access to what do you call it, at his own comfort zone. Because sometimes if you have to leave your comfort zone and travel to somewhere to have, there are villages in the country that you spend more than 1,000 naira to be able to access one or two banks. Way back in 2015, when a geospatial mapping survey was conducted, we realized that about 239 local governments at that time do not have a single access to financial services in their local government. My brother, out of the 774, you're talking about 239. It was crazy. So because of that, it now supported different initiatives in this administration to ensure that we bring these services to your doorstep to make it easier for you to have access to affordable financial services in there. So we're also working on a lot of things to bring some sort of leveraging on, some public goods infrastructure to do. I'm sure you've heard a lot from the Honorable Minister of Communication and Digital Economy, talking about digital public infrastructure, Project 774, where you have internet connectivity across different local government. We are talking about rolling up about 90,000 kilometers of fiber optics just to enhance services so that all those people providing services in the villages, they can be able to access it seamlessly. And of course, agencies such as NIDA, such as
NCC and other responsible agencies are doing very fantastic job in that regard. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, so now the implementation status of the ASO Accord on economic and financial inclusion, we are the approval for the operation model is currently ongoing. I think any moment is going to come out, whereby we're going to have a structure for the implementation of the economic and financial inclusion for the country at the national level, at the presidential level, what I mean. Also facilitated ecosystem workshops for public and private sector players to improve trust, in electronic payment space. We have some couple of initiatives we're coming up with to ensure that that partnership actually comes to play so that people can have easy access to a broad range of financial services. And one of the key priorities, as I told you, the component of financial inclusion, the target was set, I think at that time, one of such targets is insurance. Insurance sector, the target, I think, was about 40% as at 2012. The target was set to achieve 40% by 2020. Unfortunately, as I speak with you now, the access to, the insurance status, I think, is somewhere around 3%. And for those who are operating, especially those who are calling on this call right now from US, Canada, and what have you, I'm sure you know that the insurance sector is actually playing a very fantastic role in different economic space of the country. So because of that, we at the presidency, we're actually organizing a kind of a technical workshop, or roundtable within the insurance space. It is taking place next week on Tuesday, precisely. We want to bring all the ecosystem players in the insurance space and ask them question, how can we make it better? Look, let me tell you, gentlemen, you all believe me, you all believe me that this is the administration that understands people's plight. And if this administration come up with a policy, it is easier when people resist on that policy. This administration is the type that has proven that they will go back and say, what is the best way? What are the people's question? What do they want? Then we will now change that policy to be people-centric policy. So I think on this, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we need to understand and we need to give a very big accolade to our Mr. President. He is a people's president that understands the plight of the people to ensure that Nigerian people are actually well served. We're not doing these policies for any other person but Nigerian people, whether you are in Nigeria or you're operating elsewhere. So I think our doors are open. If you have any other experience elsewhere, we are open. You can come, of course, and advise us on how we can make this thing achievable. The most important thing that we are interested in, how can we serve Nigeria better so that we can elevate Nigerian economy to trickle down to the last mile, the poor and vulnerable Nigerians to be able to have access, right? And again, before the end of this year, we also plan to organize what they call it, a roundtable, which we call donor roundtable or development partners roundtable. Why is because a lot of NGOs, especially international NGOs and local NGOs, are doing a lot of initiative to support the country, to support the poor and vulnerable Nigerians, right? In addition to the government effort that is ongoing, even the private sector, we have quite a lot of effort that is going on. So we're trying to say, let's bring all these people together. Everything we are doing, we bring people to ask them questions. How do you think we can do it better? We understand we are selected by you as Nigerian people, and we listen to you, and your ideas is what we want to work with, right? So that's exactly the essence of whatever we're doing. We try to invite people, ask them questions. When they give us their recommendation, we'll go back and then we'll see how we can roll out some policies that are people-centric policy, not the other way around. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, again, in conclusion, the ASO Accord is a very strategic platform for accelerating renewed hope agenda of Mr. President. The Accord seeks to facilitate collaboration, which will that will enable the necessary scale, impact and speed in addressing economic and financial inclusion challenges, of course, in Nigeria in terms of access to financial services, right? Initiative from the Accord will also include access to government programs and policies and initiatives. In terms of government policies and programs, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, there are quite a number that are actually going on. There are different platforms that you can actually be able to access them. For example, we're talking about targeting poorest of the poor. We have the likes of conditional cash transfer. We also have the youth investment youth investment funds that have also set up. There are other initiatives that we also have. We have student loans funds that is also accessible for students to be able to access them and go to school and do all of that. All these ones are targeting poor and vulnerable Nigerians, right? We have credit corps that are doing very fantastic job to ensure that, we also have SMEs. We have have Bank of Industry, SMEDAM, and all that. They are doing a lot. In fact, even the day before yesterday, the Vice President launched what do you call it, SME Passion Hub in Enugu. The same thing happened in many other states. I'm sure everybody is watching what we are doing in that regard. So many initiatives are actually going on under this administration. But the only thing is that for us, we try to do it differently. How do we do it differently? Because we try to ensure that anything we're doing, we do it to the people. So it is targeting people to ensure they address specific, like, of course, we know that we are bound to face challenges definitely as a people, but we are open to ensure that we receive your advices so that we can make things better. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I cannot thank you enough for this audience to do this presentation. So I think this competition is about to start now, because this one is the highlight for you to have this idea of what we are thinking and what is our journey. So please, the doors now open. You can ask your question and I'm available to answer as many as I can. For those I cannot answer, we will document them and ensure that we provide such answers to the renewed hope organizers of this conference so that we'll address them. But please take it home that this administration is actually interested in your plight. How can we address your concern? How can we address your... So whatever question you have, you ask, there's no stupid question. We are serving Nigerians on behalf of our dear President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and of course his Vice President, Senator Kashim Shettima. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much once again. I am on standby to answer your questions. Good evening, good morning, and good afternoon, everyone.
Wow, thank you. What can I say? Thank you so very much, Your Excellency. You know, you made me realize what my northern brothers would say, Aiki Seimeshi. You are just looking through the your slides and your detailed explanation of everything that you put in there makes me feel like a prophet now. Because remember when I was doing my introduction, I said I will not dabble into economics because I know that the guy we have, the special guest we have today is an expert in it. I did my own researches, but after seeing everything I was able to come up with, something in my head told me, oh boy, if you don't want to look like a novice, just drop everything and let the man get on with the job. And boy, all right. Thank you so much. But before I do anything else, whilst you were reading all the details and everything, I had a couple of comments in the chat room, and I'm just going to read three of them that caught my eye. The first one says, Dr. Nuruddin Abubakar Zauro, PhD, is sound. A round of applause for him. That's the first one. The second one says, Dr. Nuruddin, PhD's presentation is Economics 101 class, so informative and educative. That's the second one. Then the last one that caught my eye says, Dr. Nuruddin is a round peg in a round hole. So that all of that, buttresses everything that I've said earlier on. And so for me, the opening couldn't have been any better. So thank you so very much, sir, for that. I knew this will happen, and I braced myself up for it. And trust me, you did not disappoint. Thank you so very much, sir. We really appreciate you, and I think this speaks to why people, by popular demand, we were asked to bring you back. And for you now coming back and giving us this, because it looks like what you gave us before was just a preamble. This is the real deal. So thank you so very much for that. And I will yield the floor now to one of my co-hosts, who will be, because we have a couple of hands up now. I'm sure they want to give you they want to field some questions to you. And I will call on the matron of the house, Hajia Rekia Bello Abakar. I will give. I think because we want to save time now, we're just going to go by two questions. When you call two questions, then another we'll yield the floor to our special guest to answer the questions. So Hajia Rekia Abakar Bello, you have the floor now.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much, Dr. Nuruddin Abubakar Zauro. I've got Dr. Engineer Olawade, who is now ready with his question. Engineer Olawade, are you there?
Yes, I am.
All right then. So can we zoom on?
Thank you so much. Thank you, our host, Barrister JK. I want to thank you, Honorable Dr. Nuruddin Abubakar, for the fine presentation. Because our time is limited, let me quickly go to my questions. I know what you have presented so far about the economics. Everything is excellent, like the people, other colleagues have said. But my question is this: now, the economics focus is to make Nigeria a better place, but we have a limit time as an tenure of a presidency with a vision. How long do we think this implementation, the policies, could be able to bear a fruit in Nigeria? Because now the ordinary Nigerians, all they want to hear is Nigeria is better now. We get it better than before. We know it's tough, but now we are good. How long? Because we have 2027 to have our next election for the concern of the party and the good district. Second one is, please, can you also, as a person in the presidency, can you tell us something about the local government's autonomy? Is it implemented now? Have the allocation go to the local government already now, so that we can know? The last one is a plea from the presidency. If they can put it out on the local government to publish all their program, all their projects in every year as they tender their project to get allocation, can they also publish what they are going to do and what we are expecting in each local government, so that if they do not complete that at the end of their tenure, the citizen can raise on them? That is my thank you. And lastly, I will also plead for you to can drop this presentation to Barrister JK so they can split up, so we can also touch area and see clearly. Thank you so much, Dr. Nuruddin Abubakar.
Thank you, Engineer Olabode. The next person that I would like to call is, there's somebody with Envision Consult. Because you don't have your name on the screen, unfortunately, I won't be able to call you. Alhaji Adams, you're next to speak, for, please. Your question, please. Alhaji Adams Dauda, are you there? Alhaji Adams Dauda, are you there?
I think he needs to be unmuted by the co-hosts. If he's not ready, let me make an exception for the Envision Consultancy, madam. It's somebody that we know from Canada. I can see from the picture. Yeah, let's give him the floor. Let's give him the floor. While Hadigav Dada will get him ready.
Will join us later. Okay then. So Envision Consult, you have the floor, sir.
I do. I'm sorry, I apologize. I logged in. I thought I would be able to change my name, and I couldn't change it. It's my company Zoom name that came up. My name is Ibrahim Haruna, and thanks for the opportunity and great job. Great speaker. I'm going to go directly to my question. Number one is that with the current, I was actually looking for the specifics and from Dr. Nuruddin in terms of the available grant to others. And I want to ask, what effort is government making to actually extend those grants to individual and businesses? That's number one. Number two, the ease of doing business in Nigeria is not easy. It's actually very difficult and tough. When you look at the developed world, what makes us who we are is the simplicity. Nigeria is so complicated. When you want to request for loans or for even register for any small things, the amount of document they're asking is too much. How do we move to actually simplify that, to make it easy for people to be able to do business in Nigeria? The last question I have is the FRS right now need to get more power. I want to use the example of Canada Revenue, for instance. If government want to give money to everybody, they have the data. They just use Canada Revenue and money will come to your account or to your house. So how do we ensure that FRS in Empower and we have a harmonized data that they can actually use to, in terms of giving money to people, you can easily use them to give money out to people. So those are my questions. I want to know the effort government is making. So let's get this specific. You know, we're having too much grammar. Let's get this specific because people are not happy as we speak. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ibrahim. So we'll now yield the floor to our special guest, Dr. Nuruddin Abubakar Zauro, to answer the two questions given. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Hajia, and thanks a lot for the people that asked question. We sincerely appreciate you. Why I'm appreciating you is because when you are doing certain things and you are getting feedback, I think the first thing is to appreciate the people that give you the feedback. Because knowing the problem, I think, is 50% halfway in solving the problem. So thank you for giving us this feedback. I think it tells us that what we are doing is actually what people are interested in, and that's why they're even listening to what we're doing. Thank you so much, Nigerians, for that opportunity once again. Okay, so now let me go specifically. Engineer Olabode speaks about how long will these policies start fruiting, for them to begin to see what is going on out there. Well, that's a very good question, Mr. Olabode. Okay, the policies, of course, they will start fruiting. You see, when we came on board, you know how the situation was. And not only in Nigeria, it's a global issue. Everybody knows what is happening all over the world, in terms of economic meltdown and all the issues. So all these initiatives, they've actually started being injecting into the country. But, it takes a while actually to begin to manifest. And you know that a lot of initiatives are going on. I can give you examples. Several times, Student Loans Fund, they came out to speak about the volume of money they have doled out in the recent time. And you have seen a lot of students that have confessed, that they have actually accessed that money without having to know anybody. You understand? They don't have to know, unlike the usual way of saying, okay, I have to know Mr. A, Mr. B, Mr. C before I can be able to get this thing. But it's actually not the same way. And that is one of the aspirations of our dear president. How can Nigeria just on his own now walk into the appropriate financial services provider to access funding without having to go to go through stress? So you know that government responsibility is actually to provide the enabling environment, right, for this thing to happen. But majorly, the private sector actually takes the lead in terms of implementation of some of these policies. Then we have regulators who ensure that they follow up to ensure that the participant, the private sector who are playing in that space, actually they are operating in line with the extant laws and regulations. You understand? So that's why we have licensing, that's why we also have supervision and then regulators. So the initiatives, they have started fruiting already, while a lot of them are also on the queue to start. The only thing is that the volume is quite massive. Nigeria, we are in the population of more than 200 million people. So I can still say, like our dear president said, we're still in the reforms times, so you just give us a little bit more time. I can tell you that already. For example, let me give you an example. For those who have gotten some of these interventions, I think for them, the policy has already started fruiting. So how can you count the number? If you do a ₦1 trillion economy intervention, for example, you know that, how many people, if you divide it by the population, definitely you realize that it's sort of like a peanut. We're also having issues around, the implementation. So we have to be sure that we are doing all of that to ensure that Nigeria. So my dear brother, the clear answer to that is that in no distant time, some of those policies will be fruiting, but some of them are already fruiting as I speak with you right now. Maybe unless if you want me to gather the beneficiaries, maybe to begin to talk on this forum, maybe until that you can believe, but I know that you too, in your neighborhood, a lot of them. And again, in terms of ease of doing business, you also spoke about ease of doing business. That is true, yes. But we have presidential ease of doing business PEBEC, that is currently also working. Just 2 weeks ago, is it 2 weeks or 1 week ago? 2 weeks ago, they actually achieved signing a particular MOU with a particular agency that has to do with the airline, sector. Which, what does that mean? It is going to affect the rates that we're paying for the flight and all that. So a lot of achievements are going on in there. They've been doing work, and that there was even a year. I think that was some years back, I can't remember precisely, that Nigeria was ranked among the best performing ease of doing business country. All those ones are actually initiatives, but it takes time because it took a very long time for all these initiatives to accumulate, for these challenges to accumulate. But as I speak with you, things will begin definitely to get fruiting so that the system can actually make it better. So I think let me stop at that. Can you tell us what do you call it, the autonomy of local government, whether it has actually comes to stay, whether they have started getting their money directly from the, from the federation's account and all that? Well, the reality reality of it is that the Supreme Court has already passed a judgment, you know, which you and I know. And of course, the discussion has been ongoing to ensure that a committee has been set up, which you know, and the whole Nigerians were informed. And the Algon, which is the umbrella body of the local government chairman of the country, they are also, you know, discussing with the committee to ensure that the implementation starts. So I can tell you, at appropriate time, the relevant agencies, the committee or the president will make it public to ensure that the people and the local government, you know, have started, will start getting their allocation directly. At that point, the people will then hold them accountable. You understand? Because it is the duty of any public office holder, you know, to be held accountable by those people who voted for him. So please, any moment that announcement is going to come, you know, the issue of legal aspect, I have less of it, you know, and more of the financial and economic aspect. You know, that's why I may not be too emphatic on that answer, but I know that the committee is ongoing. They are doing a very fantastic job, and they are going to come back to tell you. In fact, at a point where even the money that you said that is disbursed to those local governments should also be made known to the people who elected those officials in order to hold them accountable for what they are also doing. So I think that speaks to your third question. So basically, these are the questions I can pick from you, Mr. Olabode. While Envisioned consultant from Canada also speaks about, you know, extend business to individuals. You know, meaning extend grants to individuals. Of course, extending grants to individuals. My dear brother, you know, Nigeria, well, not only Nigeria, country, you know, the interest of the country is actually to have enabling environment for all these things to thrive. But when you talk about individuals, you're talking about the poor and vulnerable Nigerians. And you know, a lot of initiatives have been rolled out, the likes of conditional cash transfer, the likes of other initiatives I've also spoken about. They are actually ongoing as I speak with you. And a couple of them are actually benefiting from those programs. I can give you example, fertilizer that was, you know, disbursed to farmer, and to the extent of even the farming activities was discounted. What does that mean? In order to encourage people, you know, in the agricultural space to produce more so that Nigeria can have for food security and food sustainable so that we can feed ourselves. You know that even importation of certain things now in some other countries is very tough because even them, they are also grappling with their economy. Then that makes it easier. And sometimes the, you know, importation sometimes is quite toxic. So a lot of initiatives are actually going on to ensure that Nigeria can be able to produce what we can consume. And one of such is very fantastic work of Ministry of Agriculture, and of course, other agencies like National Agricultural Development Fund and many other agencies that are doing a lot of work. We have even the NISAL PLC and NISAL Microfinance Bank doing a lot in terms of providing guarantee, incentivizing agricultural space and all that. And also the microfinance bank there, which is a NISAL microfinance, is also providing some small scale loans, you know, there. The only thing that changed, I'm sure, is about maybe the development finance intervention from Central Bank, which we know that previously there was all this issue of Anko Borrower and other initiatives, which of course I was also a party to at that time. But the current administration now say, okay, let's take a stock of what has happened, where are we, how have we paired up, how many people have benefited from those engagements. Then from there, we can now see what is the next step. So I think it's always good to take a stock and know what is the best way you can be able to do it. You know, if you remember during my presentation, I did mention to you that the administration is actually people's focus. At a point, we have to ask people, how can we make it better for you so that before we go into any other next steps? I've spoken about the ease of doing business in ease of doing business council, which they are doing fantastic on almost every month. We see their activities. So I think that one speaks to that question accordingly. Then the last question, which you asked, is about federal inland revenue. Well, yes, we have Mr. President at the of the Presidential Fiscal Policy Committee. And to that extent, you know, a lot of things came out. For example, executive order was issued in order to review the kind of number of taxes that we have. There are a lot of tax reforms are going on. How can we make it easier for people, you know, to pay the taxes? You see, it's not about expanding the additional number of taxes to be paid, but it's about effective collection. So thank you so much for bringing us an idea where you're talking about out there in Canada. In Nigeria, of course, a lot of reforms are going on. The chairman of FRS and the Presidential Committee on Fiscal Policy and Tax, they are also doing a very fantastic job too. those taxes, are not duplicated. Apart from not being duplicated, they are also people-centric so that they can be very nice to people. But, and very capital, but to expand the collection so that Nigeria can be able to meet its obligation in terms of gathering a lot of revenue for us to do that. So let me pause at this and get more so that we can move forward. But let's see what I can say for now. Good evening, gentlemen.
Thank you ever so much, sir, for that elaborate response to those questions. Yeah, we're moving on swiftly now. I think I'll have to call on my other co-host, Honorable Jacob Ogushe, to take the next two questions.
Good evening, sir. Good evening, man. Good evening, wherever you are watching us this evening. I want to thank our guest this evening, that the technical advisor to the presidency on economic and financial inclusion, that's Dr. Rode Zaro. I want to appreciate your presence this evening. Honestly, I know everybody here will be saying, yes, I'm lucky to be here this evening. Thank you for coming, and thank you for the information that you have dished out to us. Honestly, I would like to even personally ask you a question. So if you look at the page 5 of your slides, you showed us two maps. Yes, sir.
Is it this?
Page 5. Yes, sir. The page 5, sir. Page 5. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. I want to ask you about something else. If you look at the 2020 and 2023 comparisons, you can see some states like Borno State, for instance, was 43 in 2020, and in 2023 becomes 75%. That means it's going down. And some states again as well, like I think that's another state. So can you explain to us what will have happened in those states? It should be improving, isn't it? And again, do you have an updated statistics of what has happened in the states between last year and this year to this year? Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Jacob Ogunsaye, it's a very fantastic one, and thank you for giving me a very easy question. Thank you, because this document you see, I think from down there you can see the source of the data is actually from FINA. So if you check your Google right now, just search A to F report, A to F survey, you will get the entire report. A to F means access to finance. You will get the entire report they launched. Is an FINA. FINA means Enhancing Financial Innovation and Access. It's based in Lagos. It's an independent non-governmental organization that is doing this survey. So they have all their explanation in terms of their methodology and parameters where they are able to arrive at these numbers that are just on your screen. For me, I use it in order to guide our decision. This is not from government, this is from independent private sector, right? So that tells you that the journey of what we have actually been doing. So the issue of imbalance, I think it's quite clear. If you look at Borno, for example, way back in 2020 and 2020 something, at some point, if you can get the similar data before the 2020, you would realize that those people that do not have access to financial services at that time, quite a number of them, of course, they have to fled to other neighboring states because of other challenges, in terms of insecurity. And I think that one is quite clear to everyone. Everybody understand that very clearly, right? In terms of insecurity and others. So the movement, and when you are taking a survey, you are counting the number. You are talking about people, not just houses or other things like that, right? So it's clear those people that had access, maybe because of some challenges, they moved from their current location to another location, right? So those people that are there maybe are among the groups that also do not have access and all that. At the same time, also, now with a lot of effort of the government at the center and government at the subnational, which is at the state government, they are doing a very fantastic job as well. A lot of resettlements are actually going on. So somebody that migrated to another location for a very long time, after taking 5-6 years or thereabout, now they have done reconstruction. They have invited people to come back and settle in their houses. Of course, definitely, the first thing is they have to settle down first before they talk about opening, account and activating, or maybe their inactive account. How can it be activated? Do you understand? So when they are taking their statistics, maybe at that point, a lot of things are happening. So for me, you don't really have any shocker, with this imbalancing from what do you call it, from 43% to 74%. When it's 75%. 75% is actually the worst because it's the exclusion. is just to guide you, to tell you that a lot of effort needs to actually be put in place by the government in order to ensure that the private sector who are implementing these policies in this space, they can see opportunity. By the time somebody look at this slide, he can see opportunity. I can give you an example. The fintech, the agent banking players, when they realize that, oh, in so state there is high level of exclusion, I can deploy my agent. Now, central bank have agent banking policy, that is there, which is just the capital requirement there is about 50 million, and we also have microfinance bank policy, which we have the village type, which is about 50 million. We also have the city type, that's tier 1, which is about 200 million. So people can actually see opportunity and then cash in and do other things so that they can now support. So that by the time we're going, the independent body doing this survey is going next time, can be able to see that things have changed. For us as government, we have provided the policies. And then again, for example, those who doesn't want interest-based financial services, we have provided non-interest. You meet the requirement, you can access non-interest banking license and other specialized services license, banking license, and set up anywhere you want to set up in the country. You can go ahead and do the business so that you can, at the end of the day, achieve the objective. But what that tells you from the government perspective here is that it's a pointer for us as government to go in and initiate certain policies and conduct some research and know what does people want so that we can make it better and better policy environment for people to thrive. Gentlemen, I think let me stop here.
Thank you very much. Okay, I think I get right now. Let me please move to Alhaji Adams now. Alhaji Adams, can you please unmute, sir? Alhaji Adams.
Hello, good evening.
Thank you, sir.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Loud and clear.
Okay, thank you very much. Right, I missed the presentation, but one thing I like to say is a lot of people are having difficulties accessing this fund. Can we ensure that we don't have a middlemen or middle people? Yeah, because if ordinary Nigerians is unable to access directly for themselves, yeah, there's a frustration that builds up, yeah, and that is not good, So we should ensure, because if we are targeting the SME businesses, these are registers businesses. We can even audit how many SME have access or have benefit from these this initiative by state or by local government, in order to ensure that they can see for themselves that people like themselves have access to these funds and are benefiting from it. Yeah, I've spoken to a lot of SME in Lagos State and and Ogun State as well. Yeah, they are having difficulties. Yeah, so some people are going, some people are asking them to Nigerian effect. Yeah, Nigerian effect is someone is standing between. Yeah, the system is there, the process is there, but the people are blocking the access. So we need to ensure that we'll either review how people are getting access, and if there's any blockage, try and remove it. So thank you very much.
Thank you, sir Alhaji. Then before I go back to our guest, let me quickly call on. I would have loved to call Conventual Interlogic Limited. Before I call you, please kindly change your names, your personal name.
Yeah, sorry, everybody. I was on the meeting.
Sorry,
but I've said what
Conventual. I'm not able to change the name. I've tried a few times, but I'll mention my name during the question.
Okay, you can just go ahead now.
I'll just drop off and
you can just go ahead, Conventual. You can just go ahead.
Okay. My name is Kazim Olashupo.
Okay.
I thank Dr. Nuruddin. It was a very, very brilliant and detailed presentation. And I believe that the main objective of this program is to alleviate poverty and also improve the economic well-being of our people. However, access to finance can be, the positive effect of the access to finance can be eroded by the strength of the Naira. Because obviously, if somebody have access to finance, it will go to the market, it will go to the hospitals, and the prices of hospital consumables and all others have gone up because of the strength of the Naira, which has weakened against major global currencies. So my question is this: do you by any chance know what the government is doing to strengthen the Naira, and what hope do we have in the Naira gaining back its strength? Because if you look at it, 2 times Nigerian Naira as of today. And of course, people will go into the market. If we give them access to finance, they go into the market. It's just like a cycle. So if by any chance you can give us what the government is actually doing to bring back the glory of the Naira and strengthen our currency so that all these effects can be felt by our people. Thank you.
Thank you. Coming, Kazim Olasupatik, and it's the same Kazim I know, isn't it? Thank you very much for coming. Yeah, let us go back to our guest this evening. That's Dr. Nuruddin Zaura. Please, if you could just we have two gentlemen who have some questions there. Can just take on these questions there.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Jacob. I appreciate it. Okay, let me go to the question raised by Mr. Dauda. Sorry, Mr. Adams Dauda, right? Okay, he spoke about eliminating middlemen, in the implementation of these policies of government. Well, thank you so much for that. I think that one is not more of question, but more of recommendation. So I think it is well noted. So try to see how we can put some policies and programs in place to ensure that middlemen do not have an opportunity to sabotage some of our Nigerians, in terms of access to what government is doing. So, and also try to ensure that we put a sec. But again, some of the statistics I read out here, I didn't do more of reading the statistics of MBS, which is a Nigerian Bureau of Statistics, which is a government-owned entity. But I tried to emphasize more on the independent private sector-owned entities so that you, as we are discussing with the private sector right now, you know that it is the private sector themselves that speaks. Because when government speaks for itself, there's a need for somebody to come and endorse what the government is doing. I think that's majorly some of the reasons why I'm citing the numbers from FINA, from the World Bank, and other reporting agencies. Thank you so much. Well noted. We'll communicate to the appropriate agencies for us to see what can happen in that a bit. Then Mr. Olasupo Kazim also spoke about, getting back Naira's strength. He's asking a question as to what government is doing in that regard. Well, anyway, for that one, I can just say a basic answer, as a basic economist, also in terms of what to understand by the numbers, but the best agency to actually answer the question is actually a central bank, which is a very fantastic question. So what I can do here is that maybe we can be able to relate to the agency's question in charge directly so that we can provide an answer and possibly communicate to the Renewed Hope Conference organizer and then answer you. But the basic one is a lot of things are going on. You have monetary policy committee, which that they do meet. We have monetary policy committee meetings that do happen, which is normally aired live. You see the kind of conversation going on in the meeting to the extent that they arrive at certain decision in setting some monetary policy rates like MPR, monetary policy rate, that sets the tune for the interest rates for the country. And then again, in terms of in terms of the Forex as well, in the discussions around it also, government, central bank have been communicating their own policies and so for me, I don't want to dive into that conversation, but I think it's something that I can provide and then communicate to the organizers of this program so that we can reach out to you accordingly. Thank you so much, gentlemen. Good evening.
Thank you. So I can just go back to my chief host now, but please can just take it off from here now, sir. We have Dr. Nuruddin waiting for you, sir.
Okay, thank you so very much, Honorable Jacobs. I think now I have to pass the baton to Honorable Toyin. Toyin to now take on the next set of questions. Honorable Tosin, sorry, Tosin. Why am I saying Toyin? Honorable Tosin. You have the floor now, sir.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you very much, sir. Our chief host, distinguished Barrister J.K. Adebola. Thank you for the opportunity once again. And I also want to welcome our audience and also our distinguished guest in person of Dr. Nuruddin Abubakar Zara. Thank you so much for having spent this wonderful time with us, analyzing and presenting the workings, the inner workings of the government. So really appreciate, it's been a very nice time, and we hope that we still have you more. Yes, that being said, I would like to call on Dr. Wole Duro-Dolu, who is our audience now, and I think he's the last, but it's not the least. So Dr. Wole Duro-Dolu, you have the floor now.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you most sincerely. My name is Wole Duro-Dolu. I think bringing back the strength of Naira it's just common sense economics that it has to do much more with balance of trade. In a situation whereby we consume more than we produce, definitely it will weaken the strength of Naira. So in view of this, I followed some of the executive of our party to meet one of the ambassadors. I don't want to mention the name now. But the question really I want to ask is that what are the responsibility of our ambassador in assisting Nigerians in diaspora to facilitate business opportunity between Nigeria and the host nation? Because I recall having a meeting with one of our executives here, with one of the ambassadors 2 years ago, where he promised to help facilitate connection between Nigeria.
Honestly, I'm not getting the question, sir. It's fluctuating. I'm not really getting the question, sir.
Okay, yes.
What is the responsibility of?
I said, what are the responsibility of our ambassadors in assisting Nigerians in diaspora to facilitate business opportunity between Nigerians and the host nation? Because I recall having a meeting with one of the ambassadors 2 years ago, where he promised to help establish connection between Nigerians and the Department of Trade and Industry of that country, as well as to help us obtain the certificate of ethics, because it's part of the requirement for export in that country that whatever, if you want to export anything that has to do with agriculture, you must present a certificate of ethics. So from the Export Promotion Council, up till now, for 2 years, the ambassador has not been able to do this for us. So is there any mechanism of government, by the government, that government can implement to ensure that the performances of all these ambassadors can be measured based on the business opportunities they attract to the country? Because when we talk about strengthening the Naira, it has to do with balance of trade. When we import more than we export, definitely it's weakened Naira. So these are just the question I want to ask for now. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Wole Duro-Dolu. I would like to yield the floor to our distinguished guest. But before that, sir, I can see somebody raising their hand here, Techno Spark 6 Air. Please, we will not be able to call you if you don't signify with your real name. Please, that is the housekeeping rule, please. If you want to be called, please, you may have to change it to your specific name. Thank you very much. Sir, you have the floor, sir.
Okay, thank you so much, my dear Mr. Tosin Olayinka. I think, honestly speaking, this question, it's a very good question. However, it is actually maybe not necessarily speaking directly to what I am presenting. I'm sure you're talking about economic and financial inclusion. Well, anyway, the question speaks to the responsibility of our ambassadors, in their role to facilitate trade, balance of trade, and other sort of responsibilities out there. Well, if it is an issue that has to do with the trade, which you have rightly mentioned,
making it easy for agencies to do certain things, whether locally or internationally. As far as I'm concerned, we have host ministries that are responsible for that. For every ministry, they have a reporting line where if you have issues that has to do with them digitally, since we have e-government platform where all those agencies, you can actually write an email and copy appropriate agencies that inquire. If I say appropriate agencies, I have less to say, honestly speaking, on this. But the only thing is that you're talking about issues that has to do with the trade. We have Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment. And if it is something that makes easier, for you to be able to I wish it is in Nigeria, I would have said there's a e-reporting platform by PEBEC, that you can just go into their website. If I say PEBEC, I mean Presidential Ease of Doing Business Council. You will just go and report issues. But unfortunately, I heard you talking about another jurisdiction. So we also have Ministry of Foreign Affairs. So I'm just giving a general answer to that, that we as a government, you can be able to hold government accountable, and any government agency and any government representative, including myself, if there are issues you have that you are not comfortable with the kind of service I'm doing, definitely you have also a responsibility to report, and I'm sure appropriate actions will be taken. Do you understand? Even the embassy itself in whichever country you are referring to, I'm sure there should be also a reporting line you can report your issues so that next action. But one thing I can assure you here is that this administration is that administration that is that serious, that when such issues came in terms of report for non-performance or poor performance or lack of performance, actions will definitely be taken to ensure that if the officer in charge ought to do something and he did not, definitely appropriate sanctions will be meted against him just to bring him back to his seat to ensure that he does the right thing. I'm sure a typical example, a particular minister was actually suspended because of the public outcry. I'm sure it's very clear. You understand? So if we can go to that extent, then definitely the administration is ready to listen to your public outcry and then be able to do the necessary actions where necessary. Let me stop here, my brother. Good evening, gentlemen.
Thank you very much, sir. Yes, I think it has been brought to my notice that the name there, Techno Spark, is Usman Ahmed. Usman Ahmed, you have the floor now, sir. Are you there, Usman Ahmed? All right.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Go on, please. Yeah, and shortly after that, I would also like Honorable Udeme to get ready. Mr. Usman Ahmed, you have the floor now. I may guess probably is having a technical issue out there. Honorable Udeme, over to you, sir.
Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are. And thank you so much, Dr. Nuruddin Abubakar Zaura. We really appreciate your time that you have spent with us. Really appreciate it. For you to actually come around to speak to us again a second time, although the first time was impromptu. The second time, we really appreciate, even your time that, even in the time that you really actually used to prepare, because you've given us, giving us this session that, we probably wouldn't get anywhere else. My question really, my name is Udeme Ukpe. I am currently in the diaspora, United Kingdom, to be precise. My question is, the perception of Nigerians in Nigeria is everybody that is coming from diaspora is bringing loads of money into Nigeria to come and invest, do business and all that. That isn't necessarily the case because...
It's actually fluctuating. I didn't get the question clear.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes, you're talking about based in UK, how possible?
So my question really is, there is this perception that Nigerians in the diaspora or Nigerians in Nigeria, depending if it's government officials, etc., they have this perception When I mean by government officials, I mean like civil servants and agencies and all that, and departmental parastatals. There's this perception that Nigerians in the diaspora, whenever they hear about investment or doing business, there's this perception that you're bringing in loads of money. That is actually not always the case. So, although there's that perception that, oh, you want to do business, you're making inquiries, you're bringing loads of money, that is not always the case. So my question is, how can a Nigerian in the diaspora actually have access, to be financially inclusive, in terms of having access to these financial packages if it's opportune, if there's an opportunity for Nigerians who are Nigerians but are not actually in Nigeria, but they are still Nigerians. So how do they have it? Because more often, Nigerians in the diaspora, they don't have that soft landing. And you don't have you coming into Nigeria right now, you don't even know how to open an office, get an office address, for instance, if you want to set up a business. So those are the little challenges that Nigerians in the diaspora face. So you talked about financial inclusion and all that, and some other, economic and business challenges for Nigerians, ordinary Nigerians in the diaspora, who might want to set up small businesses. So the question is, how can they be inclusive? What are the mechanisms in place for that inclusivity? Thank you.
Are you still there?
Yeah, yes, thank you, Honorable Deme. I believe by the time we'll call the last but not the least person, our distinguished guests, we have to answer those questions in totality. I'm not sure if Mr. Usman Ahmed is ready now. Mr. Usman Ahmed, are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, go on, please.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Yeah. Good evening, everyone. My name is Usman Ahmad. Thank you very much for organizing this wonderful session. So my question here is, I don't know if I'm in the right place to ask this question. My question is, how can someone have access to a grant, like a research grant for innovators? Like me, myself, I'm an innovator and also inventor. Like one of my famous invention is aircraft and also a biomechanical limb. So I'm looking at how I can have access to a research grant. Just the way like in developed countries, they used to get like the US. And one of the methods the US used to give this research grant is through their professors. But our education system is not like the ones in US and all these developed countries. So here in Nigeria, how can someone have access to such research grants in order to improve his innovation and also see how he can get those products into the market? Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Usman Ahmed. At this point in time, I would like to yield the floor back to our distinguished guest. Over to you, sir.
Okay, thank you so much, gentlemen. I appreciate you. So let me start with Mr. Udeme Okwe, who is based in UK and he's among the diaspora community. He's talking about how can Nigerians out there also have access to formal financial services. Well, I think for me, the answer to that is quite straight in the sense that, what I rolled out to you in terms of financial inclusion, access to formal financial services, meaning that you open an account or you have access to pensions, insurance, credit, payments, and all that. I think for me out there where you are based, definitely there are banks there that you can be able to approach with the basic identities that are required, such as international passport and other forms of identity recognized out there to be able to, for you to do the necessary onboarding in terms of account opening and all of that. The same thing also to Nigeria. I mean, when you are in Nigeria, also you have that as well.
agencies such as NIMSI, NIMSI, they also provided a platform where even those out there can be able to enroll. There are digital solutions provided also that you can also enroll, but the only thing is that, there has to be some basic, what do you call it, controls that have to be put in place to ensure that not every Dick, Jack, and Harry can claim to be a Nigerian for whatever purpose. The same thing that in those embassies out there, you can also access to be able to open, have an international passport and whatever. So with those basic identity system that you have in place, of course, you should be able to open an account, whether you are right here in Nigeria or you are out there, because some of our banks here, they have gone international, the likes of big ones that we know international, they have international operations. You can also open, and even the other banks out there. So for me, that one is actually basic, unless if you are talking about something else. But if you're talking about access to financial services, which is the basic I have mentioned, I think it's already a very clear terms there. I think one of the major concerns he raises about having to come down to Nigeria. For us as a country, Nigeria, I think it's all about having enabling policies, which we already have. Our central bank has robust policies within that space. I'm sure everybody is, is sure of that. Then again, the private sector, banks and other financial services providers, they should, not that they should, they already have also those windows that it's a business actually, so you can be able to access our service. There are even ones that, like some fintechs, that on your device, on your platform device, you can be able to, open an account without having to go and to present yourself face to face. Not only fintech, even the banks, they have that inability. Unless if there is any complexity to the meaning of access he is referring to, I think that is what I can say for that. But also even the economic opportunities, most of the support that have been provided, they're actually targeting poor and vulnerable Nigerians. My dear brother, and somebody out there, well, I'm not saying that we don't have a group of those who are poor and vulnerable, who are Nigerians that are living out there, but basically, we also have to put in place some controls to ensure that the money doled out is actually getting to the intended users. And we all know that it has to, it used to be made in a very crystal clear, the terms and conditions that are needed. And all these things I have mentioned, basic identity, the likes of NIN number, BVN, identity and other license and other identities are basic requirements for you to be able to get into that. And we know that over time, Nigeria has developed what we call a social register that speaks to the income, that speaks to the poverty level of those group of people that require some interventions for them to be able to be economically engaged and economically active. We have social investment programs also going on. So all those ones are foundation IDs that are required for you to come into that space. And it's all about all Nigerians, whether they are living in Nigeria or out there. I think they are very crystal clear that they can be able to access them. The last speaker, Mr. Usman, speak about access to research grants. Well, for that one is also an institutional arrangement. We have the likes of TED Fund, they have a couple of initiatives, and other private sector players, development partners, they have different sort of, even out there that he's talking about, I'm talking about the foreign countries. We all know that such intervention mostly, I'm not saying all, mostly they come also from private sector, but there are also interventions that comes from government. The same thing to Nigeria here. We have the same, I've just mentioned TED Fund, they have robust initiatives out there that you can also check out their website in terms of technology. And not only TED Fund, we have other agencies. If it is also something that has to do with the schooling, maybe we have scholarship, we have national scholarship, we have state scholarship. And the beauty of it is that technology has actually done a very fantastic job for us, because most of those requirements are out there in the public domain. They are in the just a mere search on the Google, you should be able to get some of those information, because I don't actually want to be specific, but I've just mentioned a particular institution that I'm very sure of, but there are multiple institutions also in the country that are doing different sexy, good things in the country in order to support Nigerians who are into research and innovation in the technology space. Thank you so much, gentlemen. Good evening.
Oh, wow. Thank you very much, sir, Dr. Nuruddin Abubakar Zaro. It's been a pleasure, having you to answer all these questions. I would like to yield the floor back to our chief host, Honorable J.K. Adibola, and also a barrister. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so very much, Honorable Tosin Olayinka, for that round of questioning. What can I say? Our special guest for today has once again proved his mettle proved to us he's an expert on anything that has to do with economics and the rest of it and everything surrounding it. Thank you ever so much, sir, for one, agreeing to come back again the second time. For me, it says, you see, I've always been saying it that people in this our present administration, they are so receptive to the yearnings of Nigerians across the globe. And week in, week out, they have always been proving it to us that they are always ready anytime we call upon. The one we had last week, we spoke to her 24 hours before we came on air. And immediately she said, yes, she was ready to come. So that says a lot about the crop of leaders that we have in Nigeria now, which for me, I've been doing this for a couple of years now. And this is the first crop of leaders that I know that we can knock on their door any minute and they will just snap their fingers and say they are ready to go. So thank you ever so much, Dr. Nuruddin Abubakar Zauro. I think Madam Hajia Rekia corrected me inadvertently. I was calling him Zauro, but I now understand it's Zauro. So thank you so very much, sir, for not just the elaborate and detailed initial opening that you gave us, but the expansive responses to the questions that was put to you. For me, it gladdens my heart that we have, especially because that you are one of the young people in this government. That says a lot about how our president has been able to capture the best amongst our youth and bring them into government, and not just in government. You are one of the frontline people because your position, as far as I'm concerned, is one of those that have the ears of the president first thing in the morning and late at night. So that tells me a lot why you got that position, especially with your performance now. Thank you so very much, sir, for being there for us. Excuse me, for being there for us. You coming up and giving us that, because this is the first time that we're having this kind of slide. Correct me if I'm wrong. This is the first time we're having this kind of slide on this program, which tells me that this is somebody who, I don't know, maybe he was a lecturer before, because that shows here that this is somebody who knows his onions and he knows how to give it to his audience. So thank you so very much, sir. I really, right from the very first go, I knew, oh, we are in for a swell time today, and you proved your mettle all through. So thank you so very much. I really, really do appreciate that. And it is for that reason that we are able to draw the curtain slam bang on 6 o'clock exactly. So it's all thanks to you, because you made it so easy for us, and you made it easy for even the participants to be able to grasp everything that you are saying with the graphics and the rest of them and your explanation. I think it says a lot. Thank you very much. I don't know, maybe you have any last minute words of encouragement for us too? Thank you. I'll yield the floor for you maybe for a couple of minutes, sir. Thank you.
Well, for me, the only thing I can say is to, first of all, thank you so much, the organizers of this program. You guys are doing a very fantastic job. Reason being that this administration believe in the public-private partnership, not only public-private partnership, but we also believe in public-public partnership and private-private partnership.
Wow.
You, the private sector, you can actually engage among yourself to see how you can collaborate, because business of today, is more of a collaboration, to be able to leverage on especially technology and deliver some services. The same thing within us as a government, we're doing everything possible to collaborate within ourselves to ensure that we do our best to support this administration. So you also, finally, I would like to say this administration is a people's administration, is the administration that is actually and listen to the plight of the people. So please, our doors are open any day, anytime. Just send me a chat on WhatsApp. I'm pretty much available. I should be able to respond to your questions. And if there are issues that are needed to be intervened, I can tell you, you have a window through which you can easily, present it to get to the appropriate people that require such information or that need such interventions. I think that's the essence of this administration, to ensure that we are in defense of this democracy and in support of Nigerian people. So please, the administration is ready to do everything possible to make Nigerians happy. We also appreciate the fact that, yes, it's challenging time, but please promise Nigerians that we are doing everything possible to get things better. Thank you so much, gentlemen. Good evening. And I really appreciate the participants, Nigerians, as well as the organizers of this program. And finally, I wish to thank my principal, the president and the vice president of Nigeria, and promise that we will do everything possible to support this renewed hope agenda journey. Good evening, gentlemen. Thank you once again.
Thank you ever so much. I really, we really do appreciate it. And on behalf of the team behind the Renewed Hope Global Virtual Town Hall Conference, we say thank you ever so much. You've been wonderful all through tonight. And I think the comments that I read out earlier, I just read only 3 out of the comments, and those 3, as far as I'm concerned, just slam bang on the hot shot. So thank you ever so much. I think it says a lot about how people perceive you now. Thank you ever so much. We really do appreciate you, and my regards to your family as well as you leave. Thank you ever so much. God bless you, sir. So this is where we'll be drawing the curtain on this another segment of our weekly Global Town Hall Conference. I acknowledge the efforts of stakeholders who made the Renewed Hope Town Hall Virtual Conference possible through their wide network of influence and hard work behind the scene. Some of them don't want us to mention their names, but we know who they are, and I'm sure some of you too are suspecting who they are. There's no hiding place for the golden fish, they say. Enough said about that. Thank you immensely for making this possible every week. And huge thanks also go to Ben TV, of course, the first Nigerian African TV digital channel in Europe, led by its CEO, Alistair Shoyode, for your continuous support for Nigerians in diaspora. I call him a quintessential Nigerian, and so he is, I believe, in the eyes of so many of us, and who know him for his support for good governance in Nigeria. Thanks also to our media partners like Parrot Reporters Media Limited and the Reflectors newspaper. These guys have been wonderful for us because they are equally supporting and propagating the image of the Renewed Hope Global Virtual Town Hall Conference. You are all appreciated. Thank you all so very much. And I also wish to acknowledge other leaders and stakeholders present at this conference, starting from our grand patron, Honorable Babatunde Ogala. You all know him. He's the senior counsel to the president, and Professor Adeshegun Labinjo from the USA, Alhaji Garba Sani from Nigeria, Dr. Emokpare from the UK, High Chief Chris Onumonu from the UK, Honorable Nick Akpata from Canada, Honorable Babanide from South Africa, Engineer Ajimi Jere, who spoke earlier, he's from Russia, Honorable Adeyemo from Benin Republic, Alhaji Lawal Osuman from Togo, Dr. Ozigi from Russia, Honorable Olatunde Omode from Lesotho, Dr. Abiola Akitunde from Lesotho as well, Honorable Awod Fidipe from UK, Honorable Odu Talayo from UK, Professor Adewale from Scotland, and many others too numerous to mention. Your support and assistance are very much appreciated. And lastly, I wish to appreciate my co-hosts. You all saw them today doing wonderful job. They are the guys who do all the hard work in the back room to ensure a smooth conference every week. Honorable Jacob Ogushe, Haji Rekia Bello Abubakar, Udeme Ukwe, Sheon Bayiwu, and Tosin Olayinka. This wouldn't have been possible, and I mean that every time I say it. This would not have been possible without you guys. Well done. Today, I can confidently tell you that our next VVIP for next week is no other person but the guy whom you know who's the rave of the moment at the moment is Honorable Festus Keyamo, the Honorable Minister for Aviation. He is the one coming in next week. You can take that to the bank. Yeah? So, that being said, I think, like I said earlier on, it is time now for us to draw the curtains, and I will be calling on the matron of the house, Hajia Rekia Bello Abubakar, to give us the closing remarks. You have the floor now, madam.
Thank you, our chief host. Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of yet another interesting event. Thank you to our special guest, Dr. Nuruddin Abubakar Zoro, Technical Advisor on Economic and Financial Inclusion to President Tinubu, for your comprehensive and impressive analysis. As always, thank you also to participants who joined us globally. On behalf of our Renewed Hope Global Virtual Town Hall Conference, have a great weekend. Thank you, and God bless Nigeria.
Thank you very much, Hajia. Thank you so much. And we, like I said, we're doing the courses, but we still have a little bit of a teamwork before we go finally, because even though the show is officially closed, we can still have a bit of a laugh. Because we are brothers and sisters in the house. So why not if not? Thank you ever so much, because you see, I keep saying this and I really do mean it. Without your support, and I mean all participants, and especially millions of our fans and followers who are following us on either on Ben TV and on all our social media handles, your support, especially the kind of feedback that we get on a daily basis. Believe it or not, when we hold our conference on Saturday, we still get feedback even as a Thursday the following week. Everybody still keep coming back, giving us feedback, some complimentary and some advisory, on how to better this program. That is the reason that we do what we do, because some people ask me, how do you get to do it every week? And I'm like, I haven't got the faintest idea. The only thing I know is the fact that we get some feedback from people. Sometimes it gets weary. I won't lie. Sometimes it gets weary, but by the time you read some of this, okay, think of the three comments that I read out today about our special guest. Same thing happened last week too, when we had the minister too. Your comment sometimes is the kind of, some people call it Philip, some people call it tonic, whichever way you call it. Toyin, Philip, everything is something that gives us the energy to continue to do what we do. So for that, we are eternally grateful to everybody, both our participants who never tired of joining us every week. Thank you so much. We can't thank you enough. It's mind-boggling the way you guys keep supporting us, and we will never take it for granted. And again, to the presidency, who every week they send somebody, they see them, they are spying on us, and they spy on them. We see them when they join us, so we know that the presidency is always trying to see what are these guys up to. And trust me, all we just doing is adding value to this government, and I'm sure they know that too. So for that purpose, I think it is fair to say thank you to every participant, and thank you to you viewers watching us on all our social medias, media handles, and on Ben TV too. Thank you ever so much to my co-hosts. You guys rock. That's what I can say about you guys. You guys rock, because you are the backbone that makes it possible every week. And for our Oga Pata Pata at the top, who does all the hard work, get us all the special guests. Well, I will out you someday. You can take that to the back. I know you don't like it, but hey, sometimes it has to be said sometimes that we have somebody somewhere who does all the hard work for us and makes it, because what you see here is a teamwork. It's not I may be the face of the renewed hope, but I'm not the one who does all the I have other people who do the bigger and harder work behind the scenes, and they are the ones who make things possible. So for that, I and the team behind this remain grateful for everybody. Thank you ever so much. And till we meet again next week, now we know we're having our Minister of Aviation, Honorable Keyamo, and this guy is one of the best in this government. I say so, and I think we all believe it. He is one of the best. He's the kind of guy after my own heart. He's the guy who can stand his own anywhere. So be ready for a roller coaster program next week. He's going to give it to us in, like the Yorubas would say, in dozen. Why? He's going to give it to us in dozen. Anything you want to know about the aviation, whatever it is that has to do with the aviation industry, I'm sure he'll be able to give us his own version of how things are going and what achievements he's made and what challenges he's faced. So thank you ever so much. On this note, I think we need to draw a final curtain now. So we will be playing our usual music for, I love those music anyway. I don't know about you. So we will be playing the music now, just to let us know that the curtain has finally dropped. Thank you ever so much. I remain yours, Joseph Kola Adebola, your chief host of the Renewed Hope Global. Thank you very much. Okay. I'm sorry. I've just been reliably informed that I think we all know him, the golden boy of this government. He was a special guest about a month or two ago. Is the Director General and CEO of the Energy Commission of Nigeria, Dr. Mustafa Abdullahi. I just want to give him a few minutes now to address us because he's one of the head of the house. So he owns this platform. So let's give him a few minutes for him to address us. Dr. Mustafa Abdullahi, you have the floor now. Thank you so very much, sir.
My chairman again. So, but this is the after party now.
You're on the flight.
Well, no. I'm on train. I just arrived London from Brazil. So I'm on train, but I said I had to join just to support.
Thank you for that.
And see some new faces and all that. Yeah. So, but I joined late. Apologies for that. But I'm sure it's usual success because I counted the numbers. Though this is an after party because.
Okay.
I joined about 10, 15 minutes ago. I've been raising my hands so that at least just to support you and all that. But I saw our members, our user members all on ground. Mine is just to, say hi to us and, just tell everybody that we are still here together.
Yes.
Hello, Dr. Mustafa.
We see everything happening. Yeah, my pleasure, my brother. So just to say we're still here. One family. And we've not had, in fact, I was looking forward to that meeting yesterday before I heard it's cancelled. I told you. And so hopefully but I can't wait for that meeting because it's stick together no matter what.
Yes.
I'm sure you have update for the house. So I just want to encourage us to continue be together, but don't see myself as a Nigerian. I still see myself, yes, first of all, being a Nigerian boy diaspora. Matter of fact, I'm in London now. So you can imagine after the hectic G20 in Brazil, I have to come to London to see my family. So we're still here together. That's just all I want to say.
Oh, thank you.
Ricky, well done. Nadia.
Thank you ever so much. I think we really appreciate your effort, especially for you wanting to speak to us now, even though you are en route to London. I think for me,
I had to know. I'm in London already. In fact, I'm on train somewhere, but I said I have to just.
Thank you ever so much. The meeting yesterday was cancelled due to certain issues beyond our control. And but it's gonna be it's probably gonna be happening in the next couple of minutes. We will be announcing when it's going to happen. So it's still going to happen, of course. But like you said, we are still together. Madam Meniton, where are you? With this your
as usual, I'm at a party.
Lady Anita, where you there? Hey,
guys, it's an engagement. Thank you so much. But as usual, I'm at the party in Lagos. So
okay.
But beautiful. I love as usual. Beautiful. It's been engaging, and I'm glad that actually a couple of people that are invited. I now have some regulars that really want to. That they keep telling me, and I'm talking about even this party that I'm at. We've actually been listening with some obedience sitting next to me.
Really?
And there's someone. How do I say? They admire our tenacity that we kept this going and that we keep bringing these relevancies to the forefront. Because in all fairness, these things are so deep in the background, people don't really know. They're not aware that they're happening.
Yeah.
So this, in fact, somebody told me, one of the older guys said to me, this is actually, I said information dissemination. I said, no, this is actually education.
Yes.
And corrected me. He said, no. I said, actually, it was information dissemination. No. He said, this is actually education. You are educating us.
Yes.
So, kudos to everybody. And I'll see you guys later tonight.
Thank you so much.
Dr. Mustafa, I'll see you next week.
Make sure when you come, bring our cow meat to Abeg.
Sorry, I didn't hear most of what you said because I just got into tube. But did you say you're coming around or you're around?
I'm already in Lagos. I'm in Lagos as I'm talking to you.
You're in Lagos and you don't even come.
No, that's why I
Well,
said to you, when are you coming to Abuja? I'm coming to Abuja next week. Yeah, I'll be in Abuja next week. That's
Well,
why I
I'll
said
be in Abuja on Monday. In Abuja. Okay, see you around. I'll be in Abuja on Monday.
Yeah, I'll see you. I'll come to your office. I'll see you in Abuja next week. By God,
No,
inshallah.
wala.
Inshallah. All right, guys.
No, wala.
Thank you so very much. Thank you so
No.
very much. You know, now I think that speaks to what you just said earlier on, Dr. Mustafa, that we're still one house. You know, she's she's joining from from Lagos. Last giddy they call it. You know, so for me, we are still one. I think this platform
Yes, so,
that we
Chairman,
have now,
you need to keep doing what you're doing. I mean, this initiative, this platform is a wonderful one.
yes,
And I can tell you, because I'm on ground,
Hmm.
it is really, really reaching not just people, it's reaching everybody in Nigeria.
Wow.
You might think they're not joining, but they know that something is going on. Matter of fact, this is the highest. I don't think there's any event in the diaspora that's as prestigious as this one.
I know.
You know, we don't need to be called, you don't need to have the title to actually walk the way.
Yeah.
And this is what we are doing.
Let me give you two personal testimony now. You know, last time I was in Abuja, right? Myself, Prince Adeomole, and Danjuma, we went somewhere at night just to have some kind of fun. This was around 11 o'clock at night. Then somebody came and greeted Danjuma. While he was greeting Danjuma, he was looking at me, and I'm like, what the hell is going on? So as soon as he greeted him, he came to me and I heard, renewed hope, Abi. And I'm like, yeah. and he said, I follow your program every week, and I know you are not even having a program this weekend. And that shocked me. That tells me he's following us. Then guess what happened the following week? I was still in Abuja. You know the day we had the Inspector General, when his PPRO came? You know, when we were talking about the protest that was about to happen, we had we were supposed to have the Inspector General of Police, but he sent his PRO on that day. So I conducted I hosted that event in Abuja. So as soon as we finished, I was dying to eat amala and abula and all that, you know. So I went there's a place in central Abuja. I'm sure Dr. Mustafa will know that place, where somebody took me there. So I went there with the same clothes that I wore at the conference. As soon as I got back to the hotel, Alhaji Adams called me from here. He said, somebody told me they saw you at the Amala joint now.
That means that we should be very careful.
Well, that's how popular you are now. That's how popular you are now. So let's keep it up. Let's keep it up, guys.
Yeah, it says a lot. So we just have to keep at what we're doing, because a lot of people are joining and they seem to like what we're doing. So that was what I was talking earlier before you came in now. That is the tonic that keeps us going, because knowing surely that a lot of people are into this, because we saw a niche that is missing, that people, you know, in this day and age where you have all these charlatans on social media whose stock in trade is just to make sure that they destabilize the country, and all they are doing is churning out all this fake news every day. And we saw that, why can't we be here? And these idiots are trying to destabilize our country. Why can't we do something? That was why we set this up. And trust me, it's been honky-dory since then. And to that, it's like I said, it's our participants and our viewers who are watching us every now and then. They are the ones who give us that tonic for us to continue to do what we are doing. For as long as they keep us, we'll continue to do what we are doing. So this is where we are. Thank you.
I think you are mute, sir.
Questions more. Sorry about that. I just had you know, this program is just becoming interesting more and more. We're not going now because we thought we'd draw the curtain, but then I just had some people now. They just want to address us. Let me just call the chairman of US.
Sorry, sir. The network might be very bad. I might not be able to speak. Udeme, I just saw some few people who just want to hear some guys here, please, before I'm sure I'll be on the tube again and the network will be off.
Okay.
Udeme, well done. I've been seeing wonderful things you're doing. I mean, I love your courage. Most of those posts, I read some, feedbacks and all that, but the way you handle it,
yeah,
I have to give you a thumbs up for that. Well done, Udeme. Ogun say,
yes, doctor.
for you, Adam. Yeah, I just have to.
We
Well
see
done,
you
guys.
soon.
Well done. Let's just
You
keep it
almost
up,
awesome.
please. One family. Eh?
My
We are
doctor,
coming.
my doctor. Good afternoon or good evening or
Udeme, I love the way you're operating on social
I've
media.
learned to
I see what you do.
calm. I've learned to be calm. My barrister has told me to be
I
calm.
dropped just one. The kind of attack they attacked me yesterday. I say, wow, I
I
can
saw
imagine
it.
you that get this attack everything. So, like,
Thank you so much for
fine.
everything that you do,
It's
sir.
even by somebody I know. That Femi, okay. I have to send him a personal message because I can't engage him on social media. You know, that's the Femi, okay. I know him, so I have to send him a personal message to say, come. If you don't know who is this is who. And he was something like, oh, I didn't know you are the one. I said, even if you know, you don't need to know.
Yeah.
I have to send a message, personal message yesterday.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mustafa, for everything that you're doing. Especially for Nigeria. For how you are.
Well done. Let's just keep it up. Keep it up.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
No,
I have a
my
couple of
brother.
people. Yeah, I have a couple of
We have to show the difference now. You can't give me a job and I'll let you down. I will get me.
No, in fact,
You can't give me a job and I'll let you down. So I need to do my best to make sure that I deliver.
As in, even people from church, people around, they're like, wow, that things are really happening in terms of that sector, which is really, really positive. So
we're doing a lot. We're doing a lot. In fact, I'll find time to really give us a breakdown, a review of how far we are in that office. Where I met it and where we are now, because it's a lot different. It's a lot different. I'll find time to give us a document. I'm trying to put things down because I'll be a year in 2 weeks' time. So I want to organize something where I'll speak on the achievements.
It feels like 3 years already because of all the things that you've done. You don't even know that it's even just a year. It just feels like because you've done so much.
That was the end of our unbeaten record.
Thank you ever so much. I've got a couple of people here who would like to address us briefly. The first person I've got now is Professor Adeshegun Labinjo from the USA. Can we please unmute him now? And I've got my Malam Lewis too. Is on standby. Professor, then I've got another Bob Agunwa of Egbaland. Bob Agunwa of Egbaland. So let's start with Professor.
Thank you.
Yeah, let's start with Professor Labinjo first. Is he still on? Professor Labinjo, is he still on? I can't see him now. Okay. Malam Lewis, let's have you now. Then whilst the Bob Agunwa of Egbaland will follow you. Malam Lewis, we go way back with him from NTTG, and he's always been following us every week. So he's now with us now. Let's hear from him what he's got to say to us. Thank you so very much for being part of this. Malam Lewis, you have the floor now. You are muted, Malam Lewis. You are muted, so you can speak. Uh-oh. I'm not sure.
Yeah, she may have to unmute herself.
Okay. Bob Agunwa, you can take the floor.
Yes, sir. Yeah. I would like to really appreciate what DJ
Dr. Mustafa,
our DG, Mustafa Abdullah. He's really doing a wonderful job over there, and we really, in fact, some from our own side, we really appreciate him. I believe he's still going to do more and more and more for us, and even he's making us proud, and I know he's going to do more.
Yeah.
Just in 1 year, just like as if he has used 3 or 4 years there.
Yeah.
I think I spent 3 or 4 years there. So before in the next another 1 year or 2 years, he will have done more and more and more renounceable things. So we appreciate him. He should keep doing the good job, good work. Understand? And we are with him. We support him in every area. And again, to you, sir, well done for the job you are doing. It's a good job, and we'll be noted for this, and it will continue. So more grace to your elbow, sir.
Thank you very much.
That's what I would say.
Thank you very much. I think talking about Dr. Mustafa now, until he became the DG, honestly, I've never heard of the Energy Commission of Nigeria until he got there. And ever since he's been there, he's made sure that that name remains on the lips of everybody in Nigeria. So when he says he's coming next week, I wanted to interject him to say, look, he promised us the last time he was here that solar energy, that he's gonna build a factory in Nigeria by the end of December. So we want progress report on that when he comes to celebrate his 1 year. Because me, in my village, there are so many people that want to benefit from that solar energy factory that he's going to build. And for him now to I think the precursor to that is the college that he built in Kogi State. Now, for me, you see, when we talk about Nigeria harnessing the potentials that we have in diaspora, I think he is a beacon of that. He has just shown Nigerians now that what Nigeria has been missing all this while. If you have just this one person from diaspora who is doing this much, you can only imagine what Nigeria will be like if the government starts to harness more brains from here to go to Nigeria and do more, because we live in a different society where we know things work. A few weeks ago, I met with one of the local government chairmen from Lagos. You know what caught my fancy was when before the guy came in, we met with him at a restaurant. Before he came in, somebody gave me a brochure. And as soon as I got in and gave me the brochure, and I saw him there with all the programs he's doing, and the first thing I asked him, where the hell did you get the money to do this? And somebody said, because I was so impressed that a local government chairman could do something like this, all the projects he's been doing, everything is encapsulated in that brochure. And the man who gave it to me said, the money has always been there. I said, so now people, they chop all this money when all these things they there. So when the guy came in, I was forced to, to commend him, to say, you know what, you even doing this for me blows my mind, because as soon as I saw that, I know now this is a serious somebody, who is hell-bent on making a difference. Because for me, it is not just you being given a position, it is you creating a legacy for yourself, so that by the time you leave that place, everybody will begin to, your name will begin to ring in the mindset of people. So I think that is what is missing in Nigeria now. But thank God now that we have maybe pockets of people now who believe in all of this, especially from those going from diaspora, starting with our Dr. I'm proud to beat my chest anytime. Every time I see him on TV, that hey, that's my man. He's my next in command. We used to work. We used to be together in the UK here, because when somebody is doing well, you want to associate with them. So for me, I think he has set the pace now. I'll be surprised if by the next reshufflement, the president does not pick one or two or three from diaspora, not necessarily from UK alone, from across diaspora, to go home and do something, because we live in a society where things work, and we must reflect that when we are given the opportunity to do something in Nigeria, so that we excel and open doors for more people. Dr. Mustafa has done his bit now. At least now he has made Nigerians to understand that when you bring people from a different area, they will come with fresh ideas that will open doors and make things work. Like I said, I'm in my 60s now, honestly, and I'm not joking. I've never heard of Energy Commission of Nigeria until we got there, and I was like, really? We have an agency like this in Nigeria, and I never heard of it until now. And that is what the power of innovation does. When you bring somebody there who has, different ideas, who wants to do stuff, somebody who is in a hurry to make a name for himself, he's done that already within a year. You had somebody said earlier on that he felt he's been there for 3 years, and it's not even up to a year now. But somebody is telling us that he thought he's been there for about 3 years. That is what the power of determination does. When you're determined and you have a program of action that you want to implement, of course, within a couple of weeks, people will begin to notice, and people will they will stand up and say and say, look, this is our man. So for me, I'm just saying this so that in case if the opportunity falls on your laps tomorrow to go to Nigeria to work, you have somebody that you can emulate now. We have Dr. Mustafa Abdullahi for you to emulate now. If you don't know how to do it, contact him. He will show you the road. You know what they say? Follow person with Sabi. Talk to me.
Mr. Chairman, don't be me, they go contact you. Now you they go contact.
No. Me, I'm not there yet. Now you there now. Now you there now.
Yeah,
so
but
you see, Nigeria can work.
Yeah.
I believe it. Nigeria can work if we are prepared to work it. The country can work. Trust me.
I agree. We just need the right people at the right place.
Yeah.
If you have the right people at the
it's
right
not
place,
rocket science. Me and you
we
live
we're
in
getting
the UK.
there. Like
we
you
know,
said.
yeah. You know, we live in the UK. We know that what makes UK work is not rocket science. Simple thinking outside the box, and the
like you said earlier,
to do things right.
Yeah, we're very, very sure and hopeful.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you said it all earlier, Chairman. That hopefully very soon, reshufflement is what we expect. Yeah. When you reshuffle ministers, personally, agencies will also come to. Yeah. So we believe that there will be set of diaspora in the mix, because when you bring different ideas, different people to come to the table, that's when you will get results. You can't keep the same people, the same, to give you the same, different results always. And that is what we're getting by bringing people like us into the, administration. So hopefully, I pray everybody also gets in, because I'm sure that if we're here, the country is going to get better. And that's what we're doing.
Of course.
So,
you're going to first ticket. Thank you ever so much for being part of this. And
take it to the shopping code to see.
We've had enough for 2 months. Now, is Malam Lewis still there? Malam Lewis, are you still with us? We seem to miss them all, man. And I would have loved to hear from them. And even
I'm sure the meeting is over. Like I said, this is after party. It's better we call it off, because this is a general platform.
Yeah, man. So let's
open meeting, so we can maybe we'll catch up during the meeting. I think during our own meeting, that's where we'll talk more.
Okay,
we can,
no problem.
Because this is an open platform, and there's.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Say,
yeah, I really appreciate you being part of this.
No problem, guys.
Regards your family. Yeah. Thank you.
All right, guys. Good day, later now. Bye-bye, guys.
Okay, then. Thank you.
Bye.
So good night, everybody. And I think I'll see you on the, next week with Honorable Minister Festus Keyamo. Thank you so very much.
Good night, Chairman.
Thank you.